So now all of my slabs are set up and I've got my paper templates, and the crucial moment is about to come where I'm going to lay out my template on top of each slab for each component of my piece, and then cut straight down all these edges very precisely. This is the moment of truth. Now, I should have said this before, but it always helps to maybe cut a couple extra slabs because you may screw this one up, folks. Just warning you. First time you try this, you may screw it up. But stick with it and you'll be all right, okay? This is where it's crucial to remember that these pieces of paper need to be like perfect 90-degree angles, because when all these eventually butt up against each other, you're not going to want any gaps in between. So using a paper cutter to cut these templates initially is your best bet, or a square, something to get these as even as possible so that you don't end up with gaps in between when you're trying to butt things up against each other. Okay? And measure once, cut twice. That is the rule of the day. A crucial step to remember when I line up my template, I want to line it up in the center. I don't want to line up with any of these edges. Put it in the center of my clay slab and cut through, mark it, do this process very slowly. Several slices through. I said measure once, cut twice prior. I was joking. So measure twice, cut once. You only get one shot. Also make sure you have plenty of room so you don't end up accidentally cutting another slab inadvertently. Okay. Straight down. All 90-degree angles, that's what we're looking for. So I'm ready to start mocking this up now. All my edges are as flattened as I can get them, and the slabs stand up on their own. One thing you always have to consider is, where am I going to attach this? Is the attachment going to come, and you should have determined this before you cut your template, is it going to be on this side of the slab, on the face of the slab, or is it going to attach onto the side? And I would recommend attaching to the face. You're going to get a lot better connection that way. And then when I put this other slab on top, I can apply a lot of downward pressure to this joint, and it's all going to seat nicely. So when I figured that out, I have to line up everything very precisely, make sure that the outside wall is totally lined up. Remember that I have to put a bottom on as well, so where's that bottom going to go? I could have cut that bottom two different ways, and maybe I should have cut it a different way, actually, now that I think about it. And I should have put it on the bottom here instead of where I have it lining up perfectly here. But I'm going to try it this way. But probably a better way to have done it would be to put it here. And actually I have another slab cut, a spare one. So actually, since I have that spare slab, I think I'm going to create a new template once I've put this wall on and this wall on. And then I'm going to cut a new one for the bottom because I like this bottom better. And sometimes it takes doing a little bit of actual assembly to see where things are going to line up. And if you cut an extra slab or two, it might really come in handy. So the ones that I do know, I know that I have to line it up This bottom edge has to be perfect. And I'm going to score and slip, and I don't want to go too high because this is going to be a feature. So I don't want to score this beautiful smooth surface. I'm just going to mark the areas where my slab is going to rest for the two side walls. So that's going to go right there. And remember, I would have had it come to about here, but instead I'm cutting that new slab, so I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. And then the next step is to score with a scoring tool both sides of your joint. And I want to make sure that I don't score and get all this clay garbage all over my project, so do that off camera. And make sure you score deep. This is a funny scoring tool. I thought it was going to save me time, but I'm going to probably just use this needle tool so I can really score in there pretty good. It might be helpful to, with the slab, since it's already set up, it might be helpful to actually take a little slip first and put that on this joint, on this edge, and then score, because that's going to allow me to actually really score into that surface. The two edges of your two slabs need to be super slipped up in order for them to stick together properly. This might require scoring and slipping the same edge multiple times in order to get the proper moisture content in those edges. Oh yeah, that's much easier. Wow, look at that already. This needs more slip. Make sure you have nice, gooey, fresh slip at your disposal. And when you were lining these up, I'm not going to push it down this way. I want to scoot this slab around toward me so I can see this edge. This is the edge I care about. I'm going to press them together. And make sure it's all lined up. Kind of scooch this back and forth while applying pressure downward, back and forth, and downward, and eventually it'll kind of stop moving, and hopefully it's all lined up. Make sure you're all lined up everywhere you need to be. Then you can just kind of smooth that seam in with a finger. And then for added joinery protection, you're going to want to roll a small coil and weld it into this joint. And do that before you put it all together, because it's much easier to get to this joint before I put all these other walls on. I could do, and while this is still moist, I'll get a much better result that way.